edition of my solo concerts live. super total fanatic. Well, Lulu, really, it's amazing to play in this position because Lulu comes alive, and she just gives me the most quizzical looks while I'm playing and watches my fingers. I think this is why she's been lured to, she's gotten used to this area. Here where I'm set up with all my effects here in the corner of the front room of our apartment, and she hitherto really didn't like to come over here, especially because her pad, her sleeping pad, which she doesn't often use, but it's still available to her from time to time, has been occupied for a while with my various guitars, principally the Stratocaster, this whole thing, from 1966. But anyway, I've posted some pictures of her recently where she's made quite the accommodation with the pedals especially, and her being a miniature schnauzer. I've done some studies on schnauzers. They love to elevate their chins on all sorts of things, such as like remote controls for your television or stereo or whatever, air conditioner unit. Speaking of which, we're all ready to crank it. It's starting to get very warm in New York, and it's supposed to go up into the 80s this week, so that's the good news if you're a fan of hot weather. Not everybody is, and I guess I would prefer to the cold weather any day, but yeah, it can get pretty stifling. But so the whole planet is bubbling, as we know, and it was great to hear Greta Thunberg this week weigh in on the subject, because it's one of the more pressing issues. But anyway, in a world, in a plethora of pressing issues, I've been actually preoccupied with trying to help my friend Jason Candler. So I want to give a shout out again here. Jason just had 2 devastating strokes, one in a row out of nowhere, one after another, and his family is really in a precarious situation, but I did send up right away a GoFundMe for him, and fantastic news that about 29th hours come into the fund, and more on the way, I'm told, which is excellent news, because mostly this money is going to go straight towards paying medical bills. He had some insurance from NYU, where he's taught a course in sound design for some years, so that helped cover a good part of the operation, where he had very, very serious cerebral hemorrhaging. I don't want to go into too many of the gory details, but I saw him yesterday for an hour. I went up, and the good news is his mind is totally sharp. I would say he's lucidly thinking, knowing what's going on around him. His speech is a bit slurred, as it would be for people who've had strokes, but hopefully that'll be overcome. He shows excellent movement, at least on one side, and we're all rooting for him, and he's very determined. He's talking about coming back and playing as soon as possible. He wiggled his fingers as if he was playing the saxophone, and if you know our history, he's played with me for about 27 years. At least in Gods and Monsters and in other ensembles of mine, including my Chinese pop, 30s Chinese pop and beyond ensemble with Fei Fei Young. So I sure hope he gets well soon, but it's going to be a long road to recovery. I think on Monday he's going to go into the in-house wing of the hospital that does rehab therapy, but that can only last a finite amount of time, and then he's going to have to move to another facility in New York, and that's where I think the bulk of this money that we're collecting is going to come into play, because most insurances will only cover a certain number of days, and then, yes, you have to either leave or cough up, hard-earned savings, of which I don't think there was a lot. So, in any case, you will see notices I post daily about his progress and the fund through GoFundMe, and I would urge you to contribute. I know, Lulu agrees, right? Yeah. Lulu is like talking to Caroline. She's a very talkative mini schnauzer, I have to say. She has a lot on her mind, and she's not reticent about sharing it with us, or the neighbors. Sorry to say, but we love her, and she's 12 years old now, and a very feisty 12-year-old. Right? Yes, I think Caroline is going to take steps to play with her. She needs a quotient of playtime, constantly, daily, on a daily basis. But sometimes, it'll be 1 in the morning, and it's like it's boogie time. She wakes up, and anyway, we did a lovely excursion this morning. If you visit the West Village, if you're living here, please visit a great restaurant on the corner of Bank Street and Charles Street, I believe. Bank and Bleecker Street, which is called Tartine, which has been there, forever. We love this place, and on the weekend they have the most exquisite apple pancakes. The only thing comparable to these that I can think of that I've craved over the years is the apple pannenkoeken, which is a Dutch-style pancake, and there are many, many great restaurants, particularly in Amsterdam, I'm familiar with. There's one in Leidseplein, which is looks like an old cabin. It's just beautiful, and there they have about 70 different varieties of profertjes, and this pannenkoeken. Anyway, I love this kind of stuff. Blueberry pancakes, very good. Also, I'll make a note to visit, hopefully soon, another place in the hood here called La Bonbonnière, which is it's kind of a greasy spoon, but it's very good home cooking, and they have the best blueberry pancakes and sausages, bar none. So, okay, now I've indulged the foodie side of my mood right now. This is also the first anniversary, I'm sad to say, of my mother's death by COVID 1 year ago in a nursing home in Riverside, California. I attended with Caroline on a Facebook. It wasn't a Zoom, it was kind of just a live feed from Syracuse, from the funeral home cemetery, where they put a headstone in place. And she was really lovely. My mom, she was 93. I think she could have lived, and my sisters agree, to probably 100. And she was also totally lucid at the end, but 16 people in the home were hit with the virus out of nowhere in April, the beginning of the pandemic last year. And I still blame Trump and the Republican policies in general, which poo-pooed the idea of wearing masks, for instance, which is, is it really such an inconvenient, folks? I know a lot of people in New York are not wearing them. I saw this today. And I guess if you're a young person and you feel all full of hormones, and yes, if you've had the vaccination, you probably feel you're in a fairly safe space, but you could well be carrying the virus. This is also well known, but a fact that was kind of like occluded under Trump at the beginning, and they didn't talk about this too much. And for older people like me, who are possibly susceptible, I have all sorts of autoimmune conditions I won't dwell on here, and yet I continue to play, and we'll continue to do this till I drop, I dare say. Anyway, I want to play a song now for my mom. And let's get the steel guitar happening over here. Okay. So there was a hit by Joe Stafford. Other people covered this. It was a pop hit in the early 50s called Shrimp Boats Are A-Comin'. And it's it could be a melody that was floating around in the folk idiom, I'm not sure, or inspired by something regional. It's got some very nice changes in it and some bluesy parts about it. My mom used to hum this to me and to sing a line or so, and that's one of my earliest memories that she really loved the song. I always loved it. And the best recording I know, besides Joe Stafford, which is a little bit on the kitschy, squeaky white pop side, is the great South African pianist Abdullah Ibrahim, aka Dollar Brand, whose music I love. I've been playing for years, and he cut a version. It's on a couple of his albums. There's a live one, I believe, on the album called African Piano, which I highly recommend on ECM. And he tackled this, and he just plays it so beautifully. But I'm going to do it on the steel here. Okay, and Lulu shook herself so beautifully, made her harness rattle right on the last notes of the song. It was great. Beautiful percussive effect. Yes, she's quite very lively today, especially. I don't know, maybe it's the lovely sun streaming through the window. And okay, so let's see now. Just want to, I have one more to play for you. Which will this be? I like this rhythm.